just hit these buttons. Because, normal. Hi, everyone!
Hello.
Welcome. It's time for Discussing Tabletop. It is May 14th, 2022. Oh boy, we're about halfway through May. It's been a okay month.
Yeah, it's been mostly fine.
Yes, I'm going to give you that. Mostly fine.
Stuff.
Yeah. Nothing super infuriating as of the moment. But maybe we can change that. That's my preference for this. Hey, let's talk about some things. If you checked out that docket, we'll start about Magic Warhammer.
The strangest crossover. Because, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Warhammer is already so expensive that Warhammer players aren't going to get into Magic the Gathering, and Magic the Gathering is already so expensive that Magic the Gathering players aren't going to have the money for Warhammer. Especially since they're not doubling the prices, but increasing the prices on everything. 10% or something increase.
And on these decks where they could charge us $20 but choose to charge us $40, that's a big increase.
I think these are the first ones that are getting that price bump.
Yeah.
Too.
Also, what was it? There was the argument of if they had a certain percentage increase across the board doesn't work when they have premium products.
Yeah.
On normal booster packs, I'm going to just say this. Increasing it from $4 to $4.50 even, that's not terrible. But when you have $20 packs and you're charging an extra $2 a pack, that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you don't need to. You can just increase everything by that same 50 cents and call it a day. Because it's all paper.
It's all cardboard with pictures on it.
And they've proven that they can make things cheaper anyway in the first place, and they don't. So this means it's all about money. The increased cost it's a fallacy because you've already proven...
It is fancy paper.
Yeah. I'm just saying, they've already proven themselves wrong on a lot of counts on this. The only one that I can understand is the collector's boosters or draft boosters down at the bottom of the tier that are really fucking cheap.
My favorite thing about this price increase came a week after the news that Kamigawa had become the 5th highest selling set they've ever had.
That's another thing. Oh wait,
which was They
had a 5-year plan to increase their profits by a percentage, and they completed it in 3.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, record profits and a price increase. That's the other thing that makes everyone very sus of them.
Yeah.
Also, it's unknown what these things are. They don't have an MSRP. No one knows what these price increases will be. It's magic! Quite literally.
You could probably math them out, but that's too much effort for me.
I tend to watch a couple of Magic YouTubers, and they do kind of do that math out. If you go to the big box stores, they probably are the ones that actually get the MSRP from Wizards. It's just they don't give one because... reasons?
I could probably call my local game store and ask how much one of these costs, but I'm not gonna, because I'm not gonna buy one.
Well, the local game store is gonna charge it for whatever's appropriate to them, is the other thing, too.
Yeah, mine does, I think, a $10 markup, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
But on, these kind of products.
But, on Amazon or going to Target or Walmart, you're gonna find whatever closest to the MSRP, because that's what they're going to do those places, honestly. But, they've announced the names and a couple of cards from the 4 Warhammer...
So we've got 4 factions. Obviously the Imperium, which is, humans. You've got the Necron, which are robot zombies.
Of course.
You've got the Ruinists, which I don't remember what they are specifically. And then you got the Tyranid, which are the Zerg from StarCraft.
Yeah.
If I would buy one, I'd probably get an Imperium one, because it would probably have Tech Priests in it, and I like Tech Priests.
They've also announced alongside of this free secret layers, which I have no idea what they're going to be like. 40k orcs.
I like that one because orcs are British football culture.
Age of Sigmar
Hate that one.
as a secret layer instead of an actual thing.
People have heard my opinions on Age of Sigmar and how much I don't like it.
And then Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl is fine, I think. It's Warhammer American football.
I was briefly invited to possibly be part of a Blood Bowl league, and I was like, I don't own the game.
It's a complicated mess.
And then I was like, and then it was like, oh, we filled up, and I'm like, I prefer that because then I don't have to consider this.
Imagine the excitement of playing like a football game, but then it's miniatures.
The thing I
That's
have to
Blood Bowl.
look, the thing I have to say is, at least back in the PlayStation era, the actual original PlayStation, I had a friend who had like a Madden game, and I actually liked the games back then because it was like I liked the idea of like you kind of understood and did some like tactics and stuff of like things, you know, when you have that control there, like choosing like different plays and stuff and understanding the board, and at least it was decent back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, and you know, it was playing with someone else. I had an okay time.
I like the Blood Bowl video games, but I don't think I would ever play the miniature version.
But that's my experience with football, and after that, I'm just like, I don't really care.
I used to be forced to watch football.
I don't care enough for the actual sport.
I used to work at a bar, and I had to listen to it.
Again, the thing is, I feel like any sports video game in my book is better than an actual sport, and especially if you play with other people, it automatically also makes it better too.
Yeah.
If they give you the option, because again, like then it's like I can have fun with my friends. It makes this more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. As for these cards, which are somewhere in this place,
Abaddon the Despoiler.
he's cool. In lore,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his card's like, all right.
It gives things Cascade, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like Cascade.
Blood for the Blood God, because you know you have to have that one. That's the meme.
That's the meme, so they had it. Blood for the Blood God.
Vanguard Suppressor, which is a Space Marine.
And I think the interesting thing they did about it is like the way they did the squad. I think that maybe represents its power a lot more, because rather than like, you know, it basically saying like, oh, these things should be more strong. Well, if you get a lot of them, it's what makes it, you know, you build a legion up or something, I guess, you know.
Yeah. I actually like the squad
Mechanic?
ability.
Yeah.
I guess that would be the word for it.
Yeah.
I actually would like to see that in actual Magic the Gathering.
Yes, that's definitely one. Even like the Mark of Chaos Ascended, like that one.
You could reflavor that easily.
Yeah, as some kind of special like extra Cascade ability. I mean, and then they showed like we also have Fabricate. I mean,
Fabricate, which has a Tech Priest, naturally.
Yeah. I mean, it's a reprint.
It's the promo card.
Which is kind of weird. If you
it's the promo card. It won't appear in the commander deck, but if you buy these on launch day, you'll get one.
Neat. Yeah.
Belsaris Call, which is a dude in Warhammer.
And the Fabricator.
Yeah.
Of some of legendary artifacts.
I'm disappointed they didn't go with. This is gonna be a stupid thing. I side tangent.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Tech Priest on my screen right now, so I want to talk about this. It's tabletop related. So Warhammer has like a lot of lore, and it's a lot of dumb lore usually. And I'm going to be interested to see how much of this lore that they put on these cards, because the lore is very stupid and dark. But one of the things that makes me laugh is there are land speeders and land raiders, which, you know, raid and speed over land. So I'll be interested to see if those are in the deck. But they're not called land raiders or land speeders because they, you know, go over land. They're called that because some guy with the last name Land invented them. And that was a retcon they decided to do for some reason. And it makes me laugh because it's very dumb.
Well, maybe it's because of Star Wars I can only blame, because they have their land speeders in Star Wars, so they're like, hey, it's not land like the actual land, it's named after someone called Land.
And then that opens up the joke of, like, is everything named after a dude, or is the Emperor's name like Jimmy Space and there's Space Marines.
I mean, it's like it's the theoretical. It's like generic enough. I would hope that there wouldn't be like an issue, but maybe there could have been. And that's the thing I worry about. That it's like a stupid idea, but it's the hint of what could be, because oftentimes there's that hint of stupidity in our brain, not
copyright
laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like looking at the cards that the 3 cards they announced, because really I'm only going to count 3 of these.
Yeah, one's reprint.
Abaddon, he could genuinely, like, if they made this card not Warhammer 40k, I could use him in a few decks I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the squad ability. I do hope that actually does return in a set.
Yeah. I think it's and you know, again, Blood for the Blood God. It's an interesting card. It's not bad. It could have been called something else and been just fine.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the thing about that card there. If creatures die, it costs less. You discard your hand, draw 8 cards, and do 8 damage to each opponent, and then exile it. I mean, it's
pretty standard card.
Pretty standard black-red, big spell like this. You know, honestly.
Fabricate is, I mean, it's a reprint.
Yeah.
Not much to say about it. It's got. I mean, I like Tech Priest. I have no interest in having this card.
I think it's the only reason that my interest would exist is just because Fabricate is one of those cards that has a lot more price than you'd think.
Yeah, it's like a bit expensive.
It's like, it's cheap when it's put out in a set, but as soon as it's done out of the set, it gets expensive because it's a really good artifact search card.
Yeah, it's like depending on the set it's from, it could be like $20.
I think there's only one more expensive, and I got one copy of it in my artifact deck, where it's you sacrifice an artifact, search for an artifact, put it into play.
Yeah.
Because then you can just sacrifice an artifact token and get your Darksteel Forge and be like, all my stuff is indestructible now, fuck you.
Yeah. I've definitely played decks like that before.
Look, yeah, there's other things I could search for, but I mean, the Darksteel Forge is really good. But anyway, I guess we'll be talking more about this in July, honestly, when there's gonna have more.
We actually see more board cards and shit.
It'd be good to take a full look at these decks and give an idea of like what the hell is going on with them. Just to give a comparison to what it feels like again, like, I think it's the reflection of, like, and, like, it's one of those things I don't know about until I talked with, like, Umber about it. 40k is a power trip in its existence.
Yeah.
And
40k is standard science fiction turned up to 11.
And that's the thing is, does that show this? And I don't know.
I'll have to see some other cards, because, I mean, we have a Ultramarine here, which, yeah, that's a representation of a normal one, but, like, if they've got, like, a Primarch or any vehicles, that'll be the determination of how 1-to-1 this is in terms of power representation.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to a more interesting topic. I guess maybe not more interesting topic. A topic I'm more interested in. Paizo is doing an audio adventure.
Ooh.
And it's coming to mobile.
Neat.
Here's this link here, and I will also link the Wanderword, which are the company they're working with that does audio stuff, their article about it. So Pathfinder Shardfall. You're in the shackles, the high seas. Setting sail from a base of operations dangerous Aripaklo, you'll need to explore and survey many uncharted islands in the region, investigate strange magical phenomena that can shift the balance of power in the shackles. It's an audio adventure that they're doing in the Pathfinder world.
I like the idea of that.
Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting one to be doing, honestly. It's a different type of content, but I think it's very interesting because it's a type of content that is easily built into the kind of world setting that, like, Galarian is. It's just expanding on, here's another adventure in this area. I guess it's sort of like, I don't mind novels set in RPG world. I sometimes mind them when they are the only thing that gives you lore, aka El
Which is-
Salvador.
yeah, everyone loves Drizzt and Friends.
That builds like 90% of the lore you have, other than some adventures here and there. That's not helpful.
These adventures don't even have that much lore in it.
Yeah.
Can't wait for Drizzt to have a space adventure so they can do Spelljammer lore.
I mean, technically, it's there. It's in the old stuff. There's Spelljammer lore stuff. Because I mean, like, I could pick up one of the Spelljamming books, and there's just this entire thing on. Hey, here's everything you need to know about realm space. And
Ooh.
it was a gray space, realm space, and I can't remember what the Dragonlance.
I don't know. I have
called.
zero experience with Spelljammer.
It's been a while. That's why, like, since I've looked up stuff on it. But it's supposed to be the idea that all the different like, I guess solar systems are their own realms that you can travel between two, and then go into in between them through the Phlogiston, which is a weird, spacey place that like the bubbles of universes are, or a galaxy, or some sort of star systems are in. And once you're in there, be careful. It's highly flammable.
All right.
You're basically in this like weird material in between planes, and that's why you need a bubble of air, which you have to carry your bubble of air not only from the planet but through there into the next plane. So air is an issue. You're basically like in an old submarine and have to worry about surfacing occasionally. I don't know if they're going to recreate a lot of that in the new books. I'm unsure what they're going to give us. We'll find out. But anyway, it's an audio adventure. I mean, new and familiar faces, navigate continuous waters between opposing factions, explore long-forgotten islands. I don't do a lot of audio adventures, so I don't know how much to give an opinion on this one. You know, it's an audio adventure. I don't have the kind of like experience with these to be like neat or not. You know, have you done a lot of audio adventures?
Not really.
Yeah,
I didn't really know they were a thing.
I think that's one of those things of why I like campaign shut down. Oh god, let's check that. I was clicking on something here, and it's not existing. For one of my links, it's to set them up quickly while we're chatting. I'll look into it in a second. But anyway, yeah, I don't have a huge amount of experience with it, and I'm not sure. But it's coming to mobile. It's called Shardfall. Seems neat. Seems different. Yeah. I'm okay with Paizo being like, we have this cool world. Let's do things with it. I'm like,
Maybe some books set in Olirant. Fuck it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really weird and fascinating stuff in that world that never really gets shown off.
Yeah, they've got a few novels, but more of them would be nice, honestly. Let's talk about Steve Jackson Games and doing something nice.
Oh. Alright, what'd they do?
They made hex and square tile sets. They call them the Hexscape and Squarescape. They are like plasticky terrain things.
Oh, neat. Terrain is nice.
Yeah, it includes physical pieces and STL files to print more. Unpainted, unpunched dungeon pieces, plus 45 connectors. So, I mean, these look pretty actually neat.
I love that this exists after Wizards of the Coast announced their own terrain set that looked like garbage.
Like, this doesn't have to be really... This isn't like... There isn't a lot to this. But they're just like...
No, it's just... Like, it's elevated tiles. That's all it really is. But that's good enough.
Yeah. It's elevated hex tile. So it's like, if you need hex grids, here it is. And they have a square version of it, too. Like, And I'm like... Oh, sorry, I didn't hit this. Enter for this link. Here we go. Honestly, it was good enough. Like, I saw this and I'm like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? You're giving us something that's like good enough and like actually nice. It's like this is a product that's actually interesting.
I love that Steve Jackson's games websites look like they're just from the 90s.
They never updated it. It is really from the 90s.
It is a 90s website.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. Back in the day, like really back in the day, I would be like, check to see what like upcoming Munchkins were. This is even before I was doing the news. This is back when I was just a young nerd and pretty much got most of the Munchkins. I haven't gotten a Munchkin game in like, I don't know, like a decade. They've been out that long. You know, they've been out like freaking 20 years or more.
Which gets old.
Yeah. But back in the day when I actually would get like, you know, it's like, what am I looking forward to when I go to Otakon? Because that was an anime convention that they had to go to the tabletop section for. Oh my god. Damn, I'm old. That's really nerdy. But yes, that's what I would do. You know, pick them up there because that's a convention and it's a place you can find some of these things with like people's setups and you know. Anyway, yeah, they've not updated their website ever. They never do. It's the same one.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm
web design is my passion.
They have done very little to upgrade their site in a billion
I guess
years.
if it still works, right? Like that's fine. It's just ugly. But if all the links and stuff still work.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part of it is the links work. They're showing off some of their painted miniatures. I'm assuming, you know, if those are non-painted, you'd have to paint them yourself.
Yeah.
Probably from some of their stuff there.
I like this weird squid with a book and a staff.
It's if it was gigantic, it could be Slarthnikel, the Kraken Wizard. Which is canonical to Faerun. because D&D. He's a 20th level Kraken Wizard, which is a thing. Oh, also in a Chosen of Umberlee, I believe.
Also nice.
He exists as a character. Thank you very much. But anyway,
thanks, Wizards.
Thanks, Wizards. And I believe the last time when we encountered him, it was when we were playing in a D&D world, but playing Pathfinder, which was just a weird thing at the time.
That feels a little weird.
Look, we moved on to Pathfinder, and we used a lot of Faerun because our one person that, when it wasn't me, our other DM, he knew Faerun, so he used Faerun. It was the 4th edition era.
Yeah, that's fair. That's around the time when I played Pathfinder when it came out.
Yeah.
It was my first tabletop RPG, which might be why I still have a soft spot for it.
I have a soft spot because it was so decent, you know. It was that solid game that we liked.
It's still like pretty good.
Yeah.
Except for the one adventure.
I mean, that just seems to be like
that's just a writing issue, though. That's not a system issue.
Yeah, that just seems to be a writing issue. Like, I think, like, we've reflected upon Carrot Crown and said, like, I think they just had a bunch of ideas and shoved them together.
Yeah.
And they're not as well maintained, you know, like, even Skulls and Shackles, they've got a lot of ideas that are kind of shoved together, but the thing is, most of them are, like, at least themed right, and it works. So, like, the first one is, like, we're getting our own ship. Second one, treasure hunt. Third one, some intrigue with, like, spies.
All things that pirates do.
And then, like, maybe, like, a boat race, you know?
I'm looking forward to that boat race.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, now you have an island and a colony. Good luck on that one. That's the 4th one.
And it's all things that pirates do, so, you know?
Yeah. It's in the theme of, you're a pirate, this is stuff you do, rather than, you're adventuring...
Hey, here's gothic horror.
Yeah, here's some gothic horror. Joy. It's like, but we're on this. You gave us this epic quest to go on, and this doesn't feel like the part of it.
No, you have to go play Clue.
Or we have to go like beat up a bunch of constructs, or go beat Cthulhu. Not Cthulhu, but it's another like elder horror.
I think it's like it's one of them.
Again, I really like the 4th adventure. It fits not at all.
I mean, like, individually, they're good.
Yeah.
But when you stick them together, they're bad.
I mean, like, and there's some things, there's some design problems with, like, you know, the 2nd adventure has some design issues, and the 3rd one should be 2 separate adventures.
Yeah.
But...
Hell, I could make, like, a mini adventure just out of the 3rd adventure.
Yeah. I still have to one day just like be like, everybody make some like
hey everyone, make a high level Pathfinder character.
Make like 10th level Pathfinder characters. You're gonna go fight Cthulhu.
I would be down. I love high level Pathfinder.
Yeah. But yes.
I'll shoot Cthulhu with my gun.
Anyway, so Hexscape and Squarescape
is good if you're running a physical game. It helps a lot.
They're each $30. They have a pretty good amount of hexes, which are raised hexes, and they again like if you do a 3D printer, they give you the files to make more, which I think is actually a really cool.
That's actually like the good selling point for me is like because a lot of people have 3D printers now.
Yeah.
So selling the files alongside of them is really good.
Yeah. And that was just like, just having both of those for like $30 for either of these. That just sold it on me. I'm like, wow, damn, cool. And there's certainly, they might not must be the most standard for your set or your game, granted, but again, like, fuck that shit. Who needs to care about it? Sometimes
everyone runs a campaign where eventually you go into a dungeon.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Unless you're 4th edition, then you have to have the exact numbers.
Yeah, then you have to actually care.
Yeah.
It's usually close enough is fine for 5e in Pathfinder.
Guess what actually exists and has products coming out for it?
Oh shit, what?
Shadowrun.
You almost said Spelljammer.
I almost said Spelljammer because it was such a weird thing. I'm still surprised about the Spelljammer, honestly.
I mean, it's their one joke that they had every April Fool's. They have to find a new joke now.
Like
so it's
Dark Sun, or
please never bring back Dark Sun.
Planescape or Al-Khazin or Al-Qadin.
Yeah.
But the Al-Qadin might be really difficult now. It's Arabian Nights, and that's a hard thing to do and not be. What's the word I'm looking for? Offensive. There you go.
I mean, why we only get Western European settings from Wizards of the Coast. I don't think they know how to do anything else anymore.
I mean, that setting was a very interesting one, and it's technically on Toril, I think, the Al-Qadin setting, because Forgotten Realms is supposed to be,
it's just Earth.
It's favored, and Torun's the planet. And it's supposed to be like, oh, hey, this other area of the planet, just like the Karator has their, like, own things of, like, adventures, It's this one was like, here, you can go to have, like, some, like, Arabian-styled adventures, over here.
Give me another Karator book, even though I know it's never going to happen.
I mean, like, Pathfinder pulls off this shit all the time because Galarian has all these weird places, but they're just like, it's weird. We have these places. This place kind of feels like it could be, like, Egyptian or something.
Paizo has the benefit of, their lore isn't super old because Pathfinder came out in 2009.
Yeah. And they're also like, we can just update things because time happens.
Pathfinder lore is, like, side tangent, the most progressive and LGBT friendly like tabletop lore I've ever fucking seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
I think it's because it's just like if you don't have a world where a lot of that stuff gets ingrained in it, then it just isn't there, and I think that's the idea.
Just canonical that trans people exist, so people have made spells to fix that and like make them the proper gender that they want.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's fine for these things. It's also, like, I think it's the thing, it's because it's a magic-heavy system. It's like,
this is magic, yo.
It's like, I'm like, there are probably things that are out there that people don't talk about that probably exist about. Like, yes, spells that would change one's gender to what's appropriate to what they believe in. Another thing is, which probably is an actual spell, birth control.
Yeah.
I'm going on a limb here. I'm pretty sure, like, the clerics of the priest of the priest that has we have the brothel
church. Yeah.
I'm fairly certain they have certain spells that prevent issues.
Yeah.
A, they could just remove disease all the time, and B, they probably have stuff that's like, we can just do that.
Yeah. Anyway, Shadowrun. Um,
It's
I think
products.
it's products. I don't like 6th edition Shadowrun.
I think the thing for me is I agree.
I love the world of Shadowrun.
Yes.
I don't like playing Shadowrun. Because Shadowrun is like 4 games stuffed into one sometimes.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot like I like less that it's 6th edition stuff, and maybe it adds more to the lore. Is what I'm.
Yeah, this is lore, which is good because the world of Shadowrun is genuinely very cool.
Yeah.
It's cool enough where I played in a 2-year-long Shadowrun game.
Like honestly, there's a again, I've said it. I have a series of 3 books that are a set adventure that I would love to run. Because it again, running a book in a pre-made adventure makes it a lot easier because they don't have to worry about a lot. And the system is really clunk. But again,
when you add in hacking, it adds just such an extra layer that doesn't need to be there.
You add in the astral plane on top of that.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, magic can be there. You don't have to do the astral plane.
Yeah, we didn't do the astral plane, but we did hacking, and I had to deal with the hacking, and I didn't like it.
Again, I think it's a little bit of there's a clunk to all the systems, but it's also if you get them down, they're not bad. Certainly, like Magic's 7 steps. You really only have to roll 2 things of dice technically, and then just scream that I'm going to use this on that at this point in time, and call it a day. Which a lot of times, honestly, that could very well be very similar to what happens in, I don't know, 5th edition. Technically, roll 2 sets of dice sometimes.
A good DM can also ignore certain rolls and just say it happens.
Unless specifically they say assume default power level to the normal maximum you can do, without having to get the extra super deadly burn.
We did a very simplified version of hacking after a while, which was very nice.
I think it can be played simpler. I think from my experience in Shadowrun, there is things you can do. You just have to kind of sometimes do them. Just keep an eye out on it.
Yeah, it's a really cool system, and it's definitely one of the cooler worlds because it's cyber fantasy.
Yeah, and it's post-apocalyptic cyber fantasy, except it didn't really have the apocalypse the way you think it would, which is weird.
Yeah,
I think it's just got this kind of weird layers to it that are kind of neat.
If you do want to play it, I recommend 4th edition. That's the one I played.
5th edition's not bad either. It's just basically an update of 4th edition, and I think the only big difference is it does a priority system rather than the point buy.
It's a little bit different. I think that 5th edition does character creation a little better.
Yeah, the character creation is just a little better because again, priority system, it makes it simple. It makes certain things difficult that if you want to play with a lot of very unusual meta types, then go 4th edition. If you're just going to be a lot of standard, go 5th edition. Talk to your players about it. If someone wants to play a weird thing, I'm playing a Sasquatch, which honestly, there's Sasquatch out there. They're an intelligent meta type that you could play one of. They have canonically some of them involved in stuff in the real world. They're we moved out of nature and just moved into the city. Yeah, I don't really like it here. I'm a partially spiritual element, but gotta have a job.
Yeah, I like.
Also, I like guns.
I played a troll.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
Yeah. Trolls are fun. They're the top end of the weird meta types that they're just fun to play. I'll always remember Tank, the troll, who we played in 3rd edition and made himself a living tank. And had the best friend of Nitro, who was joked with if Nitro ever exploded, because Nitro's explosives expert covered in blow-up. He would not kill Tank, but Tank would mourn his loss.
Yeah, I played a troll who had a big gun and a robot, and my sole job was to have a backpack to carry our gnome around in.
If you're interested, I'd say check out the Shadowrun products. Again, 6th edition, it simplifies too much I'd say. But if you want to go for a simpler system, I'm not going to say it's the worst system.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just too different for me personally.
It's,
And it didn't help that my first introduction to it was a edition of the rulebook that was littered with spelling mistakes.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's Shadowrun. I'm gonna put off this one for a couple of minutes because the link doesn't work. Let me see.
Oof, unfortunate.
It stopped working since last week. Let me actually just look it up, see if I can find it.
It's the next one. I found the website.
Yeah, I found this website. The Kickstarter seems to be... Let me see. It says live on Kickstarter now. Let me see. But, like, the link I had to it's not...
Oh, I've got the Kickstarter link here. This one works.
Okay, cool.
I'll shove it in chat.
That is great, then. Cool. Okay. Then we can talk about Bladerunner. There's a Bladerunner RPGs. Yeah.
My favorite movie.
It's still got 11 days left, and it really hit its goal.
Oh, yeah. It's mega funded. People fucking love Blade Runner.
I like it says funded in 3 minutes. I'm like, yes, you only asked for 10,000.
Yep.
You expected it not to
I love... Blade Runner was my first... And I think the introduction for a lot of people into cyberpunk.
Yeah. I'll link their website, too, because I do have that. What do we know about this thing other than it's super funded?
That's the story. I'm looking for what the system is like, because it's going to say that somewhere.
Yeah. If you don't know about... it's Free League Press. So the same people that did Aliens and stuff.
So the system is D6s and D12s.
Okay.
Which is standard for...
Yeah.
A lot of... It's the Year Zero engine, which is D6s and D12s.
Yep. You're playing as I guess in the base book, you're playing as a member of the LAPD's Rep Detect unit. So yeah. It's basically. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I imagine in a future book you'll get replicant rules.
Yeah, probably.
They did that for Alien, where they had where you're the space truckers, and then they had the book where you're the Marines.
Yeah, so they add stuff in there. Since it is Free League Press again, we might see it pulled off the same way as like they did with Modiphius, is that Free League Press is making it, but Modiphius is publishing it, or kind of something. Yeah. We'll have to see if they do that. If they pop up on their website, they pop up on their website. I don't know. I don't know what... or they could have made a deal with a different company to do it, honestly. We don't know. We just know it's Free League Publishing. They did the Aliens game. The Aliens game was... I haven't done it yet.
I've heard good things.
Yes.
So it also looks like, if you're interested in the world, this is set in 2037, which is between the first and second movies.
Yep, and they use the Year Zero engine. Which they use for Tales of Loot, Forbidden Lands, and Alien RPG. So it's the same. It's the same general type of engine of dice rolls. So if you've played any of those, you'll be familiar with it. I think it's the one they usually use for most of their games. Kind of like Modiphius does their 2d20 system that they maximized. Just adapts it. So hey, Neon Noir Adventures. If you don't know Blade Runner, I don't know what to tell you about it.
If you don't know Blade Runner, I mean, that's kind of fair. It's a very old movie at this point.
It's worth it to see at least once, I'd say.
If you're gonna watch Blade Runner, there's a specific cut you have to watch. I believe it's not the director's cut.
It's not the movie release. There's the one in the middle between it. I remember that too.
Yeah.
It's the best of the cuts.
It is the final cut is the one you want to watch, because that's the one Ridley Scott hand did. So that is the proper telling of the story.
Yeah. And honestly, it's like, this is a movie I've seen once, and I liked it. But
I've seen it a couple times. It's pretty good. Warner Brothers decided to do a cut of it that removed a really important scene for context, and then the ending didn't make sense.
Yeah. Sounds about right. The original movie cut, I think we're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the director's cut removed more. Ridley Scott didn't do the director's cut, which makes it not a director's cut.
Yeah, wait a second. I was going to think there for a second. I'm like, wait a second.
The director's cut is the final cut. He's the one who did the final cut.
How's a director's cut if it doesn't use a director?
Ridley Scott didn't approve the director's cut.
So they just made a director's cut?
Warner Brothers just did it, yeah.
So isn't that false advertising because the director doesn't make it? Yeah.
A little bit. It's like the worst cut of the movie, too.
Wow. Even worse. That's a weird thing. It's the worst cut of the movie. It's even worse than the theatrical release.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is wild.
And again, like, it's important. They do put the content warning. They do put the content warning here on this. There's a lot of dark and existential themes in this game.
Yes.
So it's
the world of Bladerunner is very dark.
Yeah. So this is a game that if you're gonna do it, know what you're getting into.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it, watch the movie, read up on the lore, make sure you get it right. Because if you do it wrong, it can come off as very bad because you are basically hunting down free-thinking androids.
Yeah.
Which can go very wrong if you tell that story wrong.
Yep. It's a very... Again, it's a dark storyline. And there's a lot of, like, questions on, you know, what is human and all that kind of stuff in there. And that's maybe not easy to do, but it's like action, corporate... As I said, action, corporate intrigue, character drama, and moral conflict are important.
Yep.
So it's like questioning a lot of these things and like maybe emphasizing with what you're hunting and things like that in what it is to be human in a time that like there's a lot of stepping away from being human is the themes you're supposed to explore.
This is what set the standard for the cyberpunk genre. And I'm glad it's continues to get more attention because it is a very important film and important series.
Yeah. And I haven't seen the newer one. I think the
newer one's like pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was a pretty good one. Again, like I wasn't a huge Blade Runner fan, but I saw it when I was much younger anyway. You know, so I mean that's like, oh god, like maybe a couple decades ago at this point in time. No, not quite that long.
It's been like 5 or 6 years since I've seen it.
At least 10 years. I think I was middle to late teens when I saw it.
I had seen it when I was much younger.
Yeah.
And then we watched it again in one of my film study classes.
I had a music study class where we watched Psycho. We had the choice of Sound of Music or Psycho, and the class chose Psycho.
I mean, fair.
We're like, we could see one of these two movies for its music in the movie and how it sets the scenes.
Show tunes or murder story?
I mean, it was fun because you get to like analyze like how the music affected the scene and stuff like that. But you know,
I've had to analyze a lot of culturally important movies.
Yeah, that's about as far as I went. And that's a lot of years ago for that class. I still remember that one because it was fun, and the teacher was pretty good. He was one of the music teachers that I would have loved to have had, but I was already way outside of music by then because I had been music in elementary school until they changed the band leader. And that band leader was not a good person when it came to teaching and stuff.
I did music a little bit into high school, and then I stopped.
Yeah. So, I stopped in late elementary school. I played for like 3 or 4 years. I was on the French horn.
I played the saxophone.
Yeah, my brother played the saxophone too. My French horn's probably still in our attic somewhere.
My saxophone is still in this house somewhere. I could probably still play it.
I could probably play a couple of notes, honestly, but I'd have to like remember because that's like 2 decades ago.
Yeah, once you don't practice something, you lose that skill.
Yeah. But yeah, no. When I got into middle school, like their band person was actually really cool, and he ran this like classes and a bunch of other like music type of stuff for class like that. And it was like, man, if I hadn't given up on this like 3 years ago, maybe I would have been really cool to stick with it, you know, with a guy like that guy. But you know,
yeah.
What do you do? We got a couple more RPGs to talk about because there's some Kickstarter RPGs.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
RPGs.
them. Yeah. Let's talk about having your own pet monsters. Except it's not Pokemon; it's something else entirely. It's Animon. It's about kids that are monster friends. This is family friendly. This is the family friendly game for our today.
It's almost Pokemon. Some of these look very close to Pokemon.
They have unicorn and dog and
yeah, unicorn and fire dog and small adorable mascots
and axolotl in armor. That's where they go down to the game. It's axolotl in armor.
Oh, that's so good. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh monster.
That is a Yu-Gi-Oh monster. Or oh my god, or a Digimon. It's God, axolotl in armor.
I saw a Yu-Gi-Oh card a couple days ago that was just like a sad fish on a swing. It was just a sad old fish on a swing, and the caption was like, "He can't get over his body aches." I'm like, wow, I relate to this card.
There's a nondescript, almost Digimon. Wait a second. Go down to Animon and look over two. One of those is really a Digimon.
That is lit.
It's wait. That's the one I know. It's Agumon.
That is just a Digimon.
It's just the dinosaur Digimon from the normal series. It's the one that was like, it's their mascotty Digimon kind of guy because the main guy had it.
The dinosaur one, right?
Yeah, I think it's Agumon. It's the only one I remember the name of.
Agumon.
I think it involves the Greymon, and after that...
Yeah, it is. This one's just got stripes on it.
This one's just got like...
It's got stripes and spikes.
And little wings, so it's uniquely different.
It is different. God, I never watched Digimon.
What's up? Nope.
I played Monster Rancher instead of Digimon or Pokemon. That's a fun fact for you, chat.
Oh, here's interesting. So they have 5 stages of evolution, apparently.
That's 2 more than
basic,
Pokemon.
Super, Ultra, and Giga stage.
That Giga stage is just Cerberus from the game Hades.
Look. Maybe they wear their influence on their sleeve. I'm not gonna go, but it's like kid friendly, and it's technically, I mean, it's like we're taking enough steps that we're our own thing, but we're very influenced.
Go to articles and video. There's like a capybara in a barrel as one.
Wait, articles and videos?
Articles and videos. It's like a capybara inside of a barrel.
It is a capybara inside of a barrel. Barrel bara. Quick, barrel bara! Go out and battle.
It does say it Animon Story is a great tabletop RPG for Pokemon and Digimon fans. You don't say.
You don't say.
At least they know what they do. At least show very much in design what they're influenced by.
Mm-hmm. We saw some cool things, and we made designs that are distinct enough but similar.
There is a tiny fox, so it gets my approval.
Yeah.
There has to be a comically large snake that screams an existential pain for me to get full approval.
I mean, they've got
Ekans is the best Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at when they were doing their stretch goals at the even more art where they have whale which blows fire from its blowhole. I mean, I kind of like that. Or like, I'm pretty sure like the green pig thing is their mascot with like a flower tail. Yeah. That's very mascotty. Pig minstery thing.
Pigmon.
God. And they have apparently 3 triangles of elemental matchups, so that's interesting. And they're doing their elemental thing. And
yeah.
Look, I could talk about this more, but it's a Pokemon Digimon game.
Oh it has no setting. You can put it in any setting.
Yeah, it's kid friendly. Yeah.
I want this, but in Faerun.
It's like a D6 pool mechanic. It's just made to be fun and family fun.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's cool. I actually like this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mind doing a game like this occasionally because it's probably simple and just
Very simple and silly.
Yeah. Look, if someone invited me to do the weird raccoon game again, I totally would, and I wouldn't have the fawns this time. I'd have to have a different raccoon. But I mean, the fawns might come back if everybody invited him. Fuzzarelli, I think it was. It was like Arthur Fuzzarelli.
Nice.
I was just a raccoon in a jacket that kind of did like the fawns things. And all I remember is going up to a giant mechanical spider and going, "Hey!" and kept fixing it. Those were fun times. Regency! Have you ever wanted to be an upper crust snob?
I can't say I have, personally speaking.
No, neither have I. But there's an RPG about the spirited darling adventure of love and intrigue. It hasn't been funded yet. It's still on the way to go. It's about
It's got a month.
Yeah, high social maneuvering and romance. Basically, if you like Pride and Prejudice for Jane Austen or some of those other like weird authors or Downton Abbey, they've got an RPG for you. Crash Pandas. You're right.
Yeah, Crash Pandas is the RPG for you if you like those books.
No, that was the one I played.
I mean, I don't have much to say on this. You could definitely do a Disney movie game with this.
Oh yeah, I included it because it's just so unique. Honestly,
it's pretty unique.
Yeah, like I don't mind unique RPGs if they want to throw them out there and show them off. So. If this is your thing, like honestly, it's the weird thing of like I know someone who would love this style of stuff because my mom loves Pride and Prejudice and Downton Abbey and all that stuff, but like it would be getting her to do an RPG in the first place. But this would be the one to do it in.
I mean, it could be cool. I do not think I could act rich and snooty enough to ever play this.
Look, I'm going to tell you. Thanks to my mom and the long period of time that if I had to do stuff on the computer, it was down in our living room before I was able to make the setup work up here in my room. I had to have background of Pride and Prejudice quite a number of times.
I mean, like...
I know enough about that I could snooty that.
Fair. I don't really watch that kind of stuff.
I don't want to either.
Personally.
It's the stuff that's in the background when you're trying to do stuff or like watch something on YouTube. It's right there, and you're just there, and you're like, "Oh, Mr. Darcy, however dreadful it was."
My whole experience with Pride and Prejudice is Pride and Prejudice and zombies. That's my main experience with that.
Yeah,
which was just they made that book, but they added zombies.
Yeah, or Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those books were a thing, too.
They were entertaining enough, which justifies me reading the trash that they were.
Indeed! There is one more topic I have, and that's an African-inspired RPG. Here we go. Kalyamba? Am I saying that right? Probably not. I don't pronounce anything. Kalimaba. Kalimba?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's inspired by the cultures and mythologies of the African continent. Based on dozens of legends, gods, and fantastical creatures that were in that, which is definitely like a legend system that we don't see a lot of stuff on.
No, usually not. You typically see Asian or European.
Yeah, occasionally there's a couple others, but yeah, African is one that I definitely think needs a little bit more.
It's one of the more interesting mythologies, is African-based mythologies, definitely.
Yeah. So certainly, it's good that they're getting there's a game based on that.
It is super funded.
Yes.
Which is good, because I think we do need more stuff like this that is branching out into more kinds of settings and topics. The art that they're showing off, I really like.
The art, it's got artwork. The the African-inspired setting, 10 playable races, 99 mandingas, which are spells, the Orishas, which are gods, 22 of them, 70 plus creatures, 100 plus 20, over 120 special abilities, 150 items, the progressive system, and there's no class restrictions, of course.
Neat.
And they have a lot to having it on Roll20. That was their first
yeah,
tier.
which makes it more likely that I will be able to play it.
Mm-hmm. They got more to unlock, but they've kind of hit some of their tiers, and they got a lot of other tiers. 25 will get you the PDF and their original soundtrack that they're doing and all their tier 1 stretch goals.
42 days, I can definitely see them getting through a lot of these goals.
Yeah. They apparently do have like some like higher.
I'm gonna bookmark this one, and probably I'm gonna back it for the PDF. Yeah, I'll probably end up backing this for the PDF and soundtrack.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna bookmark this one.
So yeah. I don't have so much else to say on this one either. I mean, like,
very cool.
Very cool. Honestly. I'd say check out the link, and again, I like more legend-inspired stuff. We do get them occasionally from various cultures, but like even like it's the weird thing that like there's a lot of like certain cultures that get it a lot more, and even like even if you say like, oh, Western cultures get a lot, there's things like Celtic cultures.
It's typically like
not seen very well, or Scandinavian as much. You know,
we typically get German mythology.
Yeah, very German heavy.
British, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get like Italian and French, but that's a little more on the rare side.
And then it's Japanese and Chinese for Asian are very heavy. So there's other Asian countries that you could use.
Indonesia has fascinating mythology.
Probably could see more from like India. Africa's definitely good.
Oh, India would be a really good one.
Classic Middle East, maybe like you know, very like Persian, Babylonian, even like kind of things like that. Like to see more of. South American. We've got some Aztec stuff, but like, you know, some more ancient cultures and maybe more like pseudo-modern ones or something. You know, there's stuff to do. And like Native Americans for U.S. too. Probably
absolutely.
I like seeing more representation of these because it's one of those things is you can encounter stuff that even if it's not the true legends, it's based on these legends and myths and stuff, and you can get a piece of that, an inspiration of that culture, and understand it a little better.
Things like this prompt people to research more into it.
Yeah. You understand more of where these things come from, and then you understand the cultures more, and I like it like that when they have more open for, you know, cultures and stuff. So.
Yep.
So, check it out. It's suggestible. So, I had an interesting topic today, and it came to mind to choose this topic for our deeper discussion, because I think that's what we're moving on to as I throw up our docket here. Because it was inspired by Thursdays. Boons and punishments. Single characters versus groups. When you're doing a boon and a punishment, when you're doing it for a single character, when you're for a group, and doing it right. Because honestly,
hard.
It's one of the more challenging things to do.
There are two individuals who definitely need punished.
A lot.
There are a lot of things that they have done, and you know, I try to stop them, but they just decide to not listen.
Instantaneously, they were like, as soon as you told them, they were like, yeah, we got to go get that guy and stuff, and I'm like, they just the people that just talked to you as a character,
like, don't fuck with them. I mean, we gotta go fuck with them.
Yeah, it was like, hey, these guys that you've been hanging out with, we're bad. They're worse. They've basically given the enemies an opinion that they're worse. Because
honestly, like, what Cole is seeing, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is, it's like, the villains I established feel like the characters that are more the heroes are worse than them. Very big quotations on heroes there, because they aren't.
God, they are a mess of I mean, Claude's fine, mostly.
Claude's trying to get better, though. Like, that's the
Claude's
thing is...
getting better. I at least got them not to touch the skull.
Yeah. Look, I had put that there specifically to be like, do you want to be tempted by it? Come on. I also would like to create a demi.
Yeah.
Give me an excuse to do something else horrible.
Has on Thursday presented another cursed skull in another game I'm in. I have a history with those apparently, and like I'm just doomed to find one every game.
It was mostly originally for the aesthetic, but I assumed I would do something.
Convince them not to touch it.
Yeah.
Couldn't get them to not touch the staff. But honestly, I figured Carrion was going to take that anyways.
Yeah, I kind of established her getting it, but the thing is, it's how much. There are things that she can do with it that are both good and bad.
Very much like, don't power that thing up. That seems like a terrible idea.
Well, even empowering itself is not the worst thing. Is that, like...
Well...
You've got... It's the thing that she doesn't realize is the top of the staff is a shattered phylactery.
Yeah.
Which you don't probably want to repair. Like, the staff might be okay to repair. That part of it, you probably want to avoid repairing.
Here's how I look at it. It's a necromancy staff, which is fine, in the hands of Mads.
Yeah. Mads' character has proved unanimously terrible at these things.
Just the worst decision making.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, again, the enemy group considers her a worse demon than her grandfather.
I mean, that's not entirely wrong on some levels.
That's what I mean. It's like...
Which is kind of like... Which is why I was like with Cole, I won't fuck with you personally. Unless you, like, put me in a situation where I have to.
Honestly, it's going to be the catch-22 of the entire conflict, is that, like... What may end up happening is that two of them might become the villains, I'm going to say. Specifically, I feel like, if they continue down the path they're on.
Yeah.
Like...
I will say this. There is a line where Cole will not accept what is happening. And I have a thing I will do to stop that. I may or may not have taken one of the Dominate spells. If someone's going to do something really bad, I will use it. Also, I will just summon a hurricane out of anger.
Yeah. Just for fun. Hurricane. Yeah, like, there's a couple of things that I will be kind of adding on in Urborg, because you're not going to be dealing with them, and you're going to be introduced to them next time, I'm kind of going to say. But, like, honestly, it's very hard to punish them in certain ways. Because, again, like, there are certain things that I, in a way, allowed them to do. Like, honestly. So it's sort of like, yes, they turned Traxos into an Elder Dragon Draco Lich. But I allowed them to do that, so I can't necessarily super punish them for it. But they have to understand that's a bad thing.
I don't think they do understand that's a bad thing. At least in character.
Yeah.
Especially Kazarin.
Kazarin is the worst, also, I think, in a way.
He's, Carrion is, like, short. Is, borderline evil as fuck. Does terrible things. Relatively harmless because easier to kill. Kazarin is an artificer, which is bad.
Again, it's also the entire idea that Kazarin has no one that he listens to when it comes to his invention. So he just invents anything he wants to his wildest dreams.
Carrion will at least listen to Cole and Claude when we're like, hey, this is kind of a bad idea, maybe consider it first.
Yeah.
Kaz doesn't.
Again, like, he should... He's like, I'm not as bad as Ursa, but I'm like, really?
You made a Dracolich, dude.
You made a Dracolich, and you
tore a hole in space and time.
Yeah. It was one of those things. Is bags of holding aren't a thing in Magic for a reason. You created one because you're like, I want to have one, and I'm like, sure. I'm just gonna keep that in my back pocket about what you're doing there. You know?
I do think the bag exploding was a good punishment.
Yeah.
And it did make my character infinitely more interesting. I'm no longer a normal old man.
Hey, look, and also, like, honestly, I don't mind if he uses the Genesis things. You know.
Honestly, I don't really. Those seem like mostly fine.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Yeah.
It's not a nuke.
It's not a nuke. I got rid of his nukes, which was one of those things.
That was the goal.
Honestly, part of it was I was trying to create a creative way that I could possibly neutralize them. I had a couple other ways. That was the one way that was easiest when I came up with it. But, you know, so it's sort of like...
It's very hard to do punishment.
Yeah.
Because if you do it to one person, it can kind of feel like you're targeting them if you do it too harshly.
Yeah.
And
on the opposite end, if you do it to the group when it was one person that caused the issue.
Yeah. Like with in the game I ran where you played Badger.
Mm-hmm.
There was one person who kept doing some bad things.
Yep.
I tried to punish, and the player got upset about it. And they weren't even that bad of punishments, in my opinion. Because, like, I could have just had him arrested for murdering a prisoner.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, like... it's in a weird position, definitely. I feel like his actions were bad.
Yeah. And the next character he made was worse, because I've told you about that character, the one who kept just opening doors.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the point where I didn't know how to punish that at all. Because, like, I can't do a single punishment for that. I'm just going to have to throw more monsters that are going to come to this noise.
Yeah. You're basically, in a way, you have to punish the group because of what's going on.
Yeah, and everyone else was, like, trying their best to sneak. Obviously, not everyone in the party was sneaky, but they were trying to be quiet.
Yeah. It's this... Again, it's that weird catch-22 of... It's especially on the punishment side, it's hard. And, like, part of it, you do have to, like... Because you can't punish out of game normally.
Yeah.
There are things a player can do which can result in out of game punishments. Basically be like, hey, that was too far. I've got to like talk about you. Either you stop that or you're out of the game. You know, kind of things like that. There are things people can do.
They're rare, but they do come up.
Yeah, if you're going that far, you're in a situation.
You've got a bigger problem.
Yeah. If it's in-game issues, then it just becomes, you know, it has to make sense in the world. And also, like, sometimes, like, the punishment has to make sense in the world. Like, yes, if you do something bad in a town and the authorities come after you, and then maybe you become wanted in that town and wanted in a nation, and there's bounty hunters coming after you, or maybe assassins if you piss off the wrong person, things like that are ways that you can be like, hey, you did a bad thing. You get punished for it.
Like...
A god smiting you?
That
could happen. That's a bit much.
Depending on the world, that could happen.
Depending on what you do, you could desecrate a temple and get cursed.
Yes, God. You could get cursed. In worlds with living pantheons, gods could be very active.
Yeah. Like, certainly, like, if you're in Faerun, because the gods are pretty involved in shit. Or maybe even, like, someplace, like, if you're in Galarian, sometimes the gods are pretty involved in shit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, like, really desecrate something, you know, if it's in the name of another deity, then they can't really interfere. If you're just a random jerk that doesn't have divine blessing, well.
Curse time.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if... A good example is, like, if... Ravshai?
Yeah, Ravshai.
Ravshai does something. Because Ravshai is a... under Besmara. That's
No,
one. Wait,
Revia.
Revia. God, who am I thinking of?
Yeah, Revia. That's Cell's character.
I'm thinking Sal's
You
character.
think Ravshai is Lightning's Star Wars character?
I'm so bad with names.
Both are names. I understand it.
Look, it's sort of like trying to get all the names right sometimes on Thursday because everybody has that hard K sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Revia,
Like,
if Revia does something, Blessing of Besmara. If let's say example, I want to call him
Yakul.
Yakul. I wanted to call him Nokrin because that's Madness of the Lands Dragonborn. That was Tesh, who was a good boy who went through a lot of shit also.
Yeah.
But my names are gone. But Eric's character, the Dragonborn, who's God. I'm so bad with names today. If he did something, he doesn't have like a divine blessing. He's not a divine class. He isn't a really devout to anybody. Effectively, the idea is that because the gods can interfere as long as it isn't it's sort of that catch-22. Divine intervention in a lot of these worlds can happen if you're not really aligned to someone that might give you protection.
Like if, say, Cell's character or even my character, because I am an Inquisitor, do something. Granted, it's much harder for Cell. Cell's god is Besmara, who doesn't care that much.
Yeah.
But say I do, because I'm an Inquisitor of Desna. I could do something against Desna's faith. The punishment could be like you temporarily lose your power.
Yeah.
Because that's in the hard in the rules for divine classes.
Yeah, if you do something against your faith, if you do something against an enemy of your god would kind of put protection for you. For Besmara, honestly, like, as long as you do something and it fits within her tenets, she'll probably back you up divinely, if there was, like, some kind of smiting. And again, most of the time that this happens, yes, a curse can happen, but it could also be, like, there could be a vision that some kind of high priest somewhere has of, like, smite the fuck out of these guys.
Yeah.
Send
in the paladins.
Send in the anti-paladins or paladins or something, depending on your alignment, If you're neutral, you might have done something to piss off a good god. But if you're, pissed off, like... Because honestly, like, you could have pissed off an evil god by some of the stuff you did, but really, no one you fought really had super divine protection. Some of them claimed it, but,
if you were doing one of the other campaigns in devil-worshipping country, that name escapes me.
Chulix?
There's probably rules built in to have Chulix and paladins come after you and shit.
Yeah, the anti-paladins, or, like, even, like, they could have, they could have devil assassins. They summon devils all the time. All of a sudden, like, like a spine devil shows up and tries to murder you,
Yeah, like... That's probably hard-baked into some of the rules for those adventures.
Yeah, like, if you do something wrong divinely... But again, it comes down to your actions have consequences in a game and affect the world. And I think that's what I'm trying to instill on them, but it's really hard to instill on people that I can't really have combats with because combats are very clunky in 5th edition, especially at the level they are. Yeah. And honestly, my only test almost murdered them. Inside Traxos, the battle they had was a test, and I almost murdered Carrie.
Yeah, it would have been fun if we weren't split, I think.
Yes.
Because Carrion has, like, a lot of health. Cole has a lot of health and a lot of AC, because I am a fighter, primarily.
Yeah.
But just because, like, that just comes down to party splitting kind of always fucks with combat.
Well, I tried to balance things even with the party splitting. The things were like 3 CR less.
They also did just like go in and start breaking things.
Yeah. Well, that's why I had something come and try to fight them, honestly.
So they just did a dumb decision, like I've come to expect. For the most part,
like you and Claude fought some things, and they were a bunch CR less, and it was a difficult fight. And I was able to say, like, okay, yeah, I can see where things break down, but you did a decent job. And like, yeah, you were a lot more fine than Claude was, honestly.
Yeah, Claude would not have been able to withstand the attacks. I'm both a fighter and, more importantly, a battle master fighter, so I can boost my AC to at least 24 if I need to.
I think it's the one thing that, like, it's the crutch that Claude has of, I'm going to use another form. Because it's something I established on his character early on, and it became a crutch.
Was hard to do inside of the enclosed space that was a giant mechanical T-Rex.
Yeah. So it's... I'm just trying to get Joe a little bit away from the crutch of it, and it's kind of hard, and that's why it's sort of like the bonds that he's got to go through this entire thing with his things and understand them more to use them right. It's sort of like, I'm trying to make it out that, like... And it's good for the character development, and it's sort of like... Again, that's just the crutch of it. And I think that's, like, situations that have come to it. But yeah, no. I can't use combat very well to punish them.
Because the hardest thing about combat is how many levels of wizard is Carrion?
Not many.
Is Carrion, because they are a wizard, is effectively always going to be at least one level behind, because you can't use your wizard abilities when you're doing your barbarian abilities. Mm-hmm. Carrion is statistically a lower level character.
Yeah. even like it's like even Claude is a warlock rogue.
Yeah.
That's splitting it. And
warlock rogue is also a weaker subclass mix.
Well, I think it's... I'm going to say this, and there's a big thing about 5th edition, just on a side note. 5th edition sucks at multiclassing.
Yes. There are a few that are, like, the good multiclasses, fighter, sorcerer, which is what I am, paladin, warlock, sorcerer, warlock. Those are, like, the 3 good ones. The rest are okay or just don't do them.
And that's the thing is, it's very hateful that they, like, went that bad. Like, I think, like, Pathfinder was good because they encouraged you to not multi-class, but you still could. You know?
Yeah. I think the slight solution Lightning and I came up with of just untying the ASIs at 4th, 8th, 12th, and whatever helps it a lot.
Yeah. And then just fighter gets the bonus ones and the ones that...
Fighter, yeah, they just get the... And yeah, that can lead to a fighter timing their fighter level, but who cares? That's like, if someone's been maxing that hard, they're already overpowered.
I'm going to say this. A lot of times when you multi-class, you time your levels anyway.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're doing, like, which they don't have in 5th edition, but, like, in older editions, up until then, hey, I have this prestige class. I have to take these levels at this point in time to time it out. Yeah, if you want to take a prestige class, you have to build into it. And then you have to time it out.
Because with my multi-class of Fighter Sorcerer, I had... Right, this would come up much more in an earlier leveled game.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to balance... Alright, when do I want my Sorcerer's ability? Is this ability worth giving up my 2 attacks at level 5?
Yeah. It's a complexity about the entire thing that it does make it, again, hard to judge combat. And again, that's like, coming back to our original topic, because this is a big side note, but it does rely back into it, is the major punishment that you can do a lot of times for characters is combat. And the problem with that is you have to be ready and understand the combat.
Yeah, combat is the easiest form of punishment you can deal out. I've used it before to great effect. I've seen it go horribly wrong before. It's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag. It's a hard one to use to good degree.
And there's degrees to combat punishment. Like in Star Wars, I'll give this an example. One of the punishments I do have planned is coming up. If you like fuck around and be loud, I'm going to add more troopers. Granted, troopers are weak. They have 13 health. They can still do damage.
It's the catch-22 of, like, you want to make things make sense, you want to balance things, but it's not always easy.
Yeah,
too.
a punishment you avoided in Star Wars is had you stolen a lot more, because I did present a fair amount of things you could steal. That Night Sister was going to attack you, and she wasn't going to kill you,
Mm-hmm.
but she was going to beat the shit out of you.
Because, I mean, if she was observing us, she would have heard me tell those two not to take things. Yeah. And then, like, I just took some books and, like, I explained to her exactly why I took them, you know, honestly. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I get sassed on them so much for revealing things, but I'm also, like, we're into Star Wars things where they talk about a lot of this shit. And also, I'm the one talking to these people.
Talking to people has avoided so many fights.
I know when the thing is, like, I'm like, this person, this is the right amount of information to tell them.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, it's like, we're going to keep all our secrets. The two of them want to keep all of our secrets all the time. And I'm like, look, fuckers, if we're dealing with someone that uses force abilities or something similar, we can talk about force abilities or something similar.
Yeah. Also, other force users can just see you're a force user. There's abilities for it.
Yeah. The only one that hides it is Cell, because specifically he's building it into his character to hide it.
Which makes sense for his character.
You're like, yeah,
you're like pretty decently open about it.
I think it's one of those things is like, and I think that reflects my character is, my character was in hiding for a decade. I'm back, and like now I've been drawn into this entire conflict. I'm like, I guess I'm involved. And that's been a lot of my character now, has been, I guess I'm involved.
That do be how fate works in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You just get dragged, kicking, and screaming.
And so that's why I've been a lot less, you know, hiding things, because it's been like, well, I'm involved, I might as well be involved, you know?
Yeah, because I originally was going to punish for stealing, but because you did such a good job at explaining yourselves, I decided not to. And I just had her ask politely, please give the things you took back. And she let you keep the books because you explained why you wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I'm trying to recruit her because it's the entire idea. Less for, I want to collect everyone, and more for, in this case, I feel like because she's just having the books is one thing, having this character that I can talk with them about this stuff, because again, like, Night Sister magic feels very dark side, but it's not the same kind of, it's not actual dark side, you know? It is a force magic, but it's also like a magic, you know?
Here's a hot lore dump that you will learn just by reading the books. Night Sisters were founded by a Dark Jedi.
Yeah.
So their magic is force-based, but it's a blend.
Yeah. So that's kind of my character's thing. As we're talking about Star Wars here. But, so again, like, the side of this of punishment we've kind of gone on about, and, like, you know, it has to happen. It will happen that you'll need to punish your team for doing something or some kind of problem. Just be careful.
You have to be very careful. Because I play a lot of characters recently who are chaotic. Cole's a bad example. He's a very by-the-books lawful man.
Yeah.
He's neutral, but he's, like, kind of lawful. I play, like, my wizard in the Sunday game. I was a chaotic as fuck wizard, because my entire goal was, I want this one person specifically to just be dead. I will do anything to achieve that. Mm-hmm. And I accepted every punishment I was given for that.
Well, I think, like, a good example of, like, how, like, it's you're trying to punish someone but it doesn't really work is Carrie in the Marketplace.
Yes. For those who didn't see that episode, Carrion threatened someone into giving her food, I think?
It was food, yeah. It was just like...
Just refused to pay, got arrested. The guards were like, we'll let you go if you apologize. And then Carrion didn't want to apologize.
Yeah. It's like...
It's the pettiest shit I had ever seen.
Oh, it was the pettiest shit. I just, you know... honestly, it was bad. That was just the lowest end of the scale.
That was like, damn.
Like, honestly, I'm keeping that in mind, and I will punish her for something for that at some point in time.
And then they wonder why Nim and Cole had like an hour-long session of being like, wow, these guys are really shit.
Yeah. They're like, oh, they're talking down to us. I'm like, yes, because you've been terrible.
Everything I've seen has been like, you're just the worst. I'm here because of Nim.
It was a strange thing for the guard to say, definitely. But the
guard
also is like, you're a gigantic, monstrous thing with wings that I haven't seen anything like of before. I don't know what you can do.
Just apologize or pay.
Like, because, like, honestly, like, she looks very different, and probably there's a lot of people that wouldn't be like, that's a half-demon. They're like, what the hell is that thing?
Yeah, that's something, specifically this world. Tieflings don't exist. Carrion's technically not a tiefling.
Yeah. She's technically a half-demon. But just, like, normal... it's the idea that, like, yes, you can maybe have half-demons or something like that. And, like, specifically... I've established that half-demons, half-dragons can occur under very specific circumstances or unusual circumstances. Yeah. In the case of Carrie, it's because her mother had a special ability to basically take on human form. Mm-hmm. She basically had ability to, like, hide her demon's form and hide in amongst humans and stuff like that. That was specifically a power her mother had, which some demons don't have anything like that. And because of that, she was able to have some children. And most of them didn't awaken demonic powers. Basically, it's sort of like, yeah, you're a half-demon, but you're probably pure as a tiefling, unless you do something to awaken the demonic blood in you. You know, you have to specifically push it forward.
Man, if I had done... Because I had mentioned this before. When Wrath was going to start, you had messaged me about joining and I couldn't because of work. If I had joined, I would have asked if I could play an ASMR. And looking back on that, that would not have gone well.
That would have been an interesting thing because
that would have been such a weird fucking dynamic.
It would have been, because you would have been the unusual child of a angel and a human. And the fact is then, the thing is, your parent, because the main angel group is the Sarens, they might have not taken well to your probably female. There are male Saren angels, but they're rarer. The majority are female. So probably female parent would have been, like, probably punished or maybe imprisoned, honestly, for that kind of thing. And would just been raised by her father. So I mean, like, honestly, it's kind of hard to say how that would have been. And the Saren angel and the Saren court might have just didn't want anything to do with you. Like, if you had been there for the entire trial, they would have just been like, you just stay here. We don't want to talk to you. You just are pariah to them. Because you're so unusual. Because you're like... It's not that they are like, you're an abomination. More like, we don't know what to do with you.
Yeah. It's like, I had 3 ideas for this game. One was a half-elf, which I quickly eliminated because I was already playing a half-elf at the time. The Asmar, and then Old Man. Yeah. And then I picked Old Man.
Yeah. And even, like, half-elves are ultra rare. They can exist.
They exist. I was just playing one at a time.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to play 2 of them.
I think it's the interesting idea that, like, it's a lot more than, like, your standard D&D fantasy. Where, like, it's, there is a compatibility between elves and humans. It's just the compatibility rate.
Low.
It's very low. Yeah.
Yeah. Boons, I think, are
easier.
They're easier, but you still have to be careful because it could feel like you're favoring one person too much.
Boons on a group are incredibly easy.
Yeah, like, I mean...
I'll correct that, actually. They feel easy, but you have to be careful not to unbalance everything.
Yeah. I mean, the one boon I've given, like, an entire group is, I was like, you have divine protection for a bit, and you used it.
Yeah.
And then, for memes, I was like, she was so amused by this gnome, you just got to keep yours.
I like that idea. You're just immune. You know, and it's sort of interesting. I think it's sort of like things like the Catch-22. Like, I want to add in. I've talked about this, and I still have to kind of finalize writing up the rules. The legendary items that you can quest for as kind of little side things to break up the things in Buccaneers. What I kind of want to do with them is have, like, each of them have, like, 5 little abilities that are, like, or 4 or 5 abilities that are kind of telling a story, but they also have some negatives that are part of their story.
Like,
so this one, so it's got, like, these, like, it's almost like the history of this item gives it little abilities that are some are good and bad. Like, the thing I was thinking of is, like, you get like an insight bonus to your armor while you're wearing it, but you cannot get any other armor bonuses. They just don't work with you. You know, something like that, which I was thinking of the dress.
An idea for an item like that, if I would ever run Pathfinder, where it would be some form of like an undead-related artifact that gave you certain resistances to necromancy, but you could only be healed like a vampire, which is you can only heal half of positive or half of negative.
I was also thinking for these legendary things to be like you only use one at a time, you know.
That makes sense.
You know, just because you can collect a bunch of them and just be like, which one am I using like for today or something kind of thing, and like, you know, almost like maybe you have to like attune with them, kind of like 5th edition or something when you rest. I thought that was kind of interesting idea. I have to put it down on paper.
I think those are cool.
Yeah.
I mean, my go-to boon, and this may feel minor, but if you like, say I ask for like, if you want to do something, if you're trying to persuade someone or do an athletic thing, if you like, and this is such a minor boon, it doesn't matter. If you describe it well enough, I will just forego the roll.
Yeah. I think it's also that you have to look that there's a difference between boons and rewards.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A boon is something that they get for actions or role-playing or like decisions that they make in game that are not directly related to the story or the overall mission. They're extras.
Yeah.
Which can take the form of an extra reward. You could be like, oh, you did this extra thing for me. Have this extra part of cash, you know? That
like,
could be a boon.
I'll use another one. In Star Wars, you stole that one ship.
Yeah.
I never intended for that ship to be stolen, but Lightning made a really good plan about that ship.
Yeah.
So I was like, alright, I'll add some loot up for this. And then one of the things, well, Lightning has force powers. I'll put lightsaber parts in the ship. Those are hard to get. You got them early.
Yeah.
Because you made a really good plan. Because you weren't supposed to get those, actually, until you went to the Jedi Temple. But I just made that a little earlier.
I think it's, like, I felt like Star Wars has done a good job of, like... I feel the thing is, like... Nax, Yak, and Cell's character are these, like... random elements.
Cell is easy to predict.
Cell is easier to predict because he's kind of very paladin-y, I think.
The one for me that's harder to predict is honestly Nax.
Yeah, I agree.
Yak, I know what Yak is. I know what Yak likes to do. Pretty easy for me to predict what Yak's gonna do. Yak doesn't like do a lot of horrible things outside of the one thing, which I think I got the point across of, hey, maybe don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's the one thing of, like, you know, all the characters I've had, like, kind of moments with, you know, I think I try to do that, like, having role-playing moments. And, like, Nax is the only one I really haven't been able to sit down
Nax is very much a standoffish lone wolf character kind of deal, I feel.
Yeah.
You could have those moments, but it's harder to do because Nax's whole motivation is money, where I feel as everyone else's motivations have shifted more to trying to figure out what's actually going on.
Like, even Yak, like, I think Yak has that money still, but he's also, like, you know, Yak feels like maybe, like, chaotic neutral kind of alignment, you know? Like...
Yak, to me, feels like, yeah, someone who wants money, but inside of that is a good person and will help people.
Yeah.
I don't get that with Nax.
Nax is very just kind of evil.
Nax is very much just a merc.
Yeah, just a merc.
Which is nothing wrong with that, but it's a harder character to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, so sort of like Rav's been put into a situation where she's liking it more. Like, my character, I don't think I was originally going to go for, like, the mentor character, but I feel like I've moved into that kind of point in time a little bit, trying to be, like, the offhanded mentor. That's what I try to be. You know, it's sort of like, I want to mentor you, but I also don't want to screw things up because I feel like the path of the Jedi was a screw-up.
You know, I want to teach you, but, like, my education might fuck things.
Yeah, the education I have, I don't think it is good anymore. You know, after my experiences, like, I'm like, I don't think my education was a great one at this point in time. I've had like a decade to rethink a lot of my life issues and choices, you know. Though technically, my initial choices weren't choices because I was just kind of given over.
You were kind of just like kidnapped as a child.
Yeah,
which is a thing that happens, and everyone's like fine with that.
And spent couple hundred years just guarding some shit, you know.
Yeah, just guarding an old building.
I mean, it got boring, but it was probably life. It was like que sera, sera for a long time, and then like everything upheaved, and I had like again, like I would think like it probably took a decade to come to a lot of these conclusions.
Yeah, likely. And then, you know, like, you summoned a ghost, and that's actually been good for your character, I feel. It's given you insight into some things.
Yeah. Again, it's like, the ghost is a weird character and very, like, you know, kind of offstandish with the other characters, but I feel like it also helped develop, like, the character I want it to be, that kind of neutral ground a little bit more.
If y'all talk to the ghost, he will tell you things.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you that. He's not going to be like, fuck off, go away, well, he might to Yak, because Yak hit on him.
Yeah, but then I'm also like, the thing is, like, my character kind of likes Yak, too. Like, Yak is just, there's something about him that's
I like Yak as a character a lot.
Yeah, he's a weird character with a lot of problems, and I feel, you know, it's like, man, we gotta get you some fake lungs or something, you know, just so you live longer. Just get you some robot lungs.
Cybernetics do exist. There is prices for them.
We just, you know, maybe that's something I could save up some money for. Get you
a new pair of lungs for Christmas.
It's like, look, that Yak. We're taking you to a guy who gets you something that'll help you out. A new pair of lungs. Because he was a Gungan who was basically raised on Tatooine because his father was a dick.
Yep. I mean, back to the topic. My reward system and boon system for that has been fairly simple. Like, for Cell, I have presented a few options where he could have just got a Kyber Crystal, but he wants to go after the specific one. I will reward that kind of dedication with something a little more special. Cough, cough, I don't think he watches this show. I can assume people have figured out it's something to do with Night Sisters.
Mm-hmm. Where it's sort of like his path is maybe to like learn a little bit about like the essence of the Jedi, because I feel like he exemplifies the idea more of like a dark Jedi more.
Yeah, he feels like a dark Jedi to me, whereas you feel like, I don't know how to pronounce, but what your background actually is, what your character does.
Yeah, the path of neutrality. I think that's one of those things. Is like when I chose that background, I'm like, this is the background I kind of want to like. I feel like this is something my character is aspiring to rather than actually at, because that's not really something that's in the the Star Wars universe. So it's sort of like my path is my background rather than my background is my path, you know. So I'm learning more about these things, and I've looked into a lot of stuff, you know, about understanding it.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, I mean, one of the other meme rewards I've thrown in, there are several NPCs who are quote-unquote romanceable. Yak has managed to flirt with none of them.
My character's not going to flirt with them. It's sort of like, I feel like it's my... Go ahead.
I feel like, you know, not really the party for that, except for Yak. But Yak has flirted with none of them.
It's like, I'm on the older side.
I think does have 8 charisma, it's true.
I'm on the older side now, you know, it's like, it's probably that thing of like, you know, Jedis don't fall in love kind of thing, so it's sort of like, it's still kind of hard for me to get into that kind of like, I should go dating or something. Yeah, maybe that's some kind of development, is like, go on a date or something, you know?
Yeah, you have a date. Yeah, like, again, the boons I use tend to be very simple. They kind of toe the line of a reward, but it's a reward that you will get a little earlier kind of deal. Like, if you go the extra mile and do stuff, I'm fine with giving, like, a rarity tier higher item as a boon.
Yeah.
If you go that extra mile.
I think a good example of a boon that I gave to the players is when you guys went and got that dress we were talking about in Buccaneers. you did well. I didn't have you fight anything.
Yeah, that's a good boon.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys were doing well. I'm not having you fight anything. You don't need to. You know, you did well. Honestly, like, I can have a combat in one of these, or a combat or two or something on one of these kind of quest lines for these things, but it depends on your actions and your ideas. And some of these are probably going to be a little bit more, like, this one was, it's in a, like, area of the city. You have to, like, go on, like, on like a quest line to get like a part of of this item that was like separated from it, you know, and you know, steal it and then use legend lore on it or something, you know, which costs some money, and like it's this entire like, you know, like it was different, and I want to do more of little things like that. There's little side things occasionally here and there if you hear about them.
Lightning, don't worry. Your Mando friend also has low charisma. It'll be a great conversation. There's a reason she doesn't say much.
Shall I keep the helmet on? No,
you didn't get the charisma Mandalorian.
So two of you are like, shall we keep the helmets on? Yes. That's it. It's like, what? Anyway. But, so yeah. It's good to reward your players or punish them, depending on their actions, and you just have to think about it. It's one of the harder things to do in a lot of games.
It's a lot of planning to plan out boons and rewards and punishments as well. I mean, a simple punishment that I do like using is cursed item.
Man, you know?
Like in Badger game, where someone stole a bunch of swords.
Yeah.
Those were all horribly cursed, and I punished a lot of people.
I didn't know they were stolen.
Yours wasn't the worst curse.
No, it wasn't actually.
Someone who knew that they were stolen got a curse where they couldn't eat cooked food.
Mm-hmm.
And it may have also made dead bodies smell appetizing because it was a sort of like hunger.
Mm-hmm. That's pleasant.
I did make Lynn roll to me secretly to not eat a gnome corpse.
I like that. That's good. Don't eat the gnome corpse. Go ahead. Come on. You know you want to.
Give me that wisdom save.
It's so delicious looking. Gnome. Yeah. So, I think it's just play it by ear and be careful with your team. Punishments, combats are easy if you can fit them in and not murder your players.
Yeah, cursed items are also pretty easy.
I mean, the only thing I could say for punishments that could murder your players is ones that they might hear about this combat that could occur. Maybe you should run away, and if they choose not to run away, then they're idiots.
Yeah.
You know, the Grand Hunter who murders everyone in their wake and, like, you know, has been known to, like, kill, like, 1,000 people and, you know, is after you because you've pissed this thing off. You know, oh, should we run away? No, let's fight it. Fuck you guys. Your choice.
Good luck.
But that's the kind of punishment of, like, that they've done
That's
really
when
bad.
things have gotten really far.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Maybe someone would want to do that to Carrie, because, I mean, again, and Kaz, a giant death dragon.
Be honest, if someone rocks up and is like, I want to kill those two, okay. I'm not involved in this. Good luck. I told you can't run from your problems forever.
I'm gonna have to be creative in something. Like, it is something punishing and creative. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to have to come up with something for a lot of their recent actions have been kind of awful. And the world knows what they did now. Sort of.
They're famous. Well, infamous. They're villains. Potentially.
Well, again, like, plenty... The public words is they didn't do anything wrong. But there's probably a lot of scuttlebutt from a lot of more extreme countries of, oh, they did something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
we should talk about the games we've had this
Yeah,
week.
we had games.
Yeah, we've talked a little about them.
Yeah.
Did you do anything Sunday or Monday? Because I sure didn't.
Sunday and Monday, I did nothing.
Then we just had that Star Wars, which we did talk a little
We did just
about.
have Star Wars. You guys are on Dathomir, which is a lovely hell planet. Personally, it is actually one of my favorite planets in Star Wars. I loved going to it in Fallen Order.
Oh yeah, it's actually a really neat planet. I think the thing about it is that the way they display it, it at least does feel like maybe there are other locations, and also like if you read the lore about it, there are planes in Dathomir.
Yeah,
So
Dathomir is a really cool planet. It has like the Night Sisters are genuinely one of my favorite factions in Star Wars.
I'm just saying, like, it's a planet that has more than one environment.
Yeah, it's not all jungle. It's got plains. It's got mountain.
Yeah.
All of it bathed in red because it has a red star.
Probably has a very nice red ocean somewhere, or at least some nice red lakes.
Yeah, you went there. You explored a bit. You came across some ruins that I don't know if people fully understood that those were Night Brother settlements.
I understood that. I assumed it was Knight Brothers. That what I was thinking is because I read up on it a little bit.
Yeah.
I knew that the Empire had kind of moved in pre Death Star blowing up.
Yeah.
So now that's why I was like, canonically they don't say what happens. So I was like, they must have like left orbit because there's fucking rebel army to deal with or something, you know. So we're sending troops there rather than just holding this crappy planet. But that's why there were stormtroopers here. And I thought that they probably just murdered a bunch of Night Brothers because they're dicks.
Yeah. And you crossed the meme bridge that I only put there for sale.
Yeah, of course.
And you went into... You found a burial pod, which those are always cool. And you went into some spooky ruins, and you learned that that was the home of a Night Sister who you didn't fight because you disarmed the situation very nicely. Oh, I didn't get that. You wouldn't have got anything from it anyways. I forgot you had that ability, sorry. I gotta remember I gave that to you. Yeah, you talked to a Night Sister who is like, all things considered, pretty chill. She has information on one person you've encountered. And you wanted her as a guide. She's like, yeah, I'll help you if you help me. So now you're gonna go and murder a bunch of Imperials with a Rancor and some zombies.
Yeah, good times. Very good times. So it was a good place to leave off. We ended up having Wednesday. I just gotta like sit down. Maybe this evening I'll like send a bunch more pokes out. I keep not sitting down and sending pokes out to people again. You know, just for more players. So we were down someone, and since we're 3 players.
When one has to miss, you gotta cancel.
Yeah, Buccaneers are gonna be kind of like a little bit like hit or miss for a little while until I can get.
It should be fine now because it's the summer, and I don't think Sil has university currently.
So yeah, so theoretically we should be pretty good, and I think Eric's got a pretty stable schedule right now. Unless another, work.
Yeah, unless something happens, obviously.
Something work-related happens.
You can't predict everything.
Yeah. And then we did have Children of Wrath, where we talked about that, you had a nice meeting with one of the villains, the quotation villains, and they are technically evil. They're just not like wahaha evil. They're like
the real world evil.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're remnants from Wrath, and we've seen that things are kind of shit still. We want to amass some kind of power and basically be influential. They're basically like, we want to nuke and threaten everybody so they get in line.
Yeah.
Which is not great.
It's not good, but it's not the most evil thing.
Yeah, they're like, we don't really want to conquer the world. That's kind of hard, and it doesn't work.
We just want like a say on like the decisions.
Yeah, we want absolute influence over the world.
Yeah, which is kind of fucked up, but
Yeah, I mean, again, it's that catch-22 of they're not the worst villains, but they're still villains kind of thing,
They didn't make a Dracolich, for example.
No, they didn't. And they mentioned some other thing that that you guys passed off, that they destabilized the Ironclaw orcs, who got rid of their curse recently, and they just pissed them off some more. So that region's not in good shape because of them.
Good job.
Because they were like, we're gonna bust through it. It was a really cool scene, but it's also a note of they have real world ramifications for other people.
Yeah. We're in Urberg now, and I can't wait to see what Carrion and Kaz do to fuck this place up. Even more, because Urberg's already a fucked up place. What are they gonna do to make it worse? That's what I want to know.
I've got a couple ideas of some things. I've got a meta plot for Urborg that I'm going to introduce, because you don't have the normal villain group because they're not around. And then depending on the items, they're going after Kaz's brother first. I have plans for that, which are going to kind of be related to some things. And then I kind of have some loose plans for the different things they have to do. Which, I mean, 2 of them are related, because if they go for the staff, they're probably going to want to contact the Panther Warriors. Which, if they counter the Panther Warriors, they're going to want to contact Muldrotha because it's in her territory.
Yeah, hey, Lightning, I'm not a villain. I'm just not good. I'm just a billionaire.
Claude's not a villain either. Yes,
Claude's
you are.
Rich. I'm a rich guy.
You are just a really rich guy.
I'm a really rich guy who was told by my friend to keep an eye on these idiots.
Yeah, basically because you're a really rich guy that you're basically very Batman, because you're a real rich guy that actually is slightly concerned with what's going on. But went and did vigilante work in his youth to take care of it. You are goddamn Batman.
I could use my money and government influence to fix shit, but I'm like, you know what? I used to be an adventurer. I've got a cool staff. I have spies. I'll just do this instead.
Well, I like the idea that probably in your youth, when you still were probably rich because of your family, and went and did adventures and got the staff and all this stuff, and was working with Nim for a number of years. I'm just imagining that those were your Batman years.
Yeah. I'm old Batman currently.
Mm-hmm. You've retired. You're now you're being drawn back into it because of some idiot kids who are trying to destroy the world.
Dumbasses.
Because it's most people can be okay, you didn't mean to do this horrible things over here. You still did it. You still did it.
Yeah, still did it. I was a victim.
You were a victim. I mean, honestly, I feel it's Claude
and I were victims.
Claude is kind of a victim in most of these things, because Claude doesn't really want to do anything. He gets drugged around by these
Claude
two.
is like a hostage.
Claude's just he just joined with them because he has the same of damn, these evil guys, we gotta do stuff about them and learn about these things, and they're sure we do, come along Claude, we'll take care of them eventually. Oh look, here's something we can do wrong, and Claude's are we sure we're doing it wrong?
Okay. Claude and Cole are the really this story.
Poor Claude.
Claude's been through so much.
It's sort of at least
boy isn't okay anymore.
It's sort of it's Maxwell and Wintress are smart enough to get out.
Yeah. I'll just take Claude with me.
Wintress was just whimsy. It was just weird.
It is Lynn's characters. They're all weird.
I didn't understand what Wintress wanted to do other than hang out with Carrion a lot. That was about it.
Lynn makes some weird characters. I don't understand most of Lynn's characters, but they're more or less at least fun to watch.
I think Wintress was good as a fun character.
Yeah, I did enjoy Wintress when I was able to catch Wrath when I was watching.
I mean, she joined a weird band that wore terrible skunk costumes.
It was very funny.
And she hunted a weird goat thing with her tribe and stuff like that, and
that's the dumb decisions I enjoy. Not let's make a Dracolich.
Yeah, Wintress's dumb decisions were still I'm just gonna do this fun thing, Wintress was very fun loving and was very the essence of this chaotic neutral. I think just chaos. It's just she's that sounds like fun. Let's do it. And then I liked Maxwell a lot. I'm sad that Lee had to go, and like, yes, I think we had a good story arc for him, and him going and getting married and maybe having a kid, and also maybe becoming a real boy. So if he would ever show up, he'd be like this guy with a random silver tongue. He's not getting rid of the tongue.
Fair.
It's technically like a cursed item.
Yeah.
And there is not easy way, and like honestly, I don't know if the church really likes him that much.
Probably not.
They probably.
God, imagine if I decided to play a fucking paladin or cleric with this group.
I'm going to admit, after the last couple of things they've done, if they'd gone to trial with the Saren Angels or Benalian now, things would go a lot differently.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, 'cause that Asmar was also going to be a paladin. Which that would have certainly ended interestingly.
I do not know how long things would have lasted.
I think that character would have left, and I would have been playing someone else.
I've got to admit, with the way the team is, like... It's sort of like that weird thing of, like, the only characters... the thing is, Carrie has development. It's very slow, and it's lasted, like, 100 episodes. But there's a core, a little nugget of character development that is there. Kaz doesn't have that at all.
No, Kaz is not developed at all.
It's sort of like, on general principle, I've liked Kaz's character a lot, and I like Fish's character, but I feel like the fact that there has been, like, no character development has been kind of a little bit stagnant at this point in time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do about it to drive.
You can only be a crazy inventor for so long.
Yeah. I think because the game's been so long, it's kind of gotten a little harder at this point in time. Again, yeah. I've always liked Kaz's character. I like Fish as a player.
I like Kaz's character. The decision making, I feel, could use a little development.
Yeah.
Especially after this long.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like the discussions there were just basically like, I'm totally gonna make another Draco Lich, were the words that I heard coming out of his mouth.
Yeah. And
that was like, I'm like, you've learned nothing, and that's why I was just so disappointed with this entire thing when you came to them with information they talked about, and I'm like,
I'll just say, wow. Like, there's a reason I've mentioned Cole is documenting everything these idiots do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they go full villain, this is just gonna get sent to a lot of world governments. So they know, hey, these guys are like an actual threat, we should probably deal with them.
The thing is, I both know and don't know how the finale is going to go at this point in time. I have an idea of where and what's going to be going on during the finale, and I have an idea that you're still going to be opposing this group, but the fact is, since two of you are already villains that haven't made attempts to not be villains, you know?
Yeah, it's like villains fighting villains, and then there's two normal people who are kind of stuck here.
Yeah. Again, Carrie has had slight bits of development, but
Carrion has learned slightly.
It's just
Carrion's a little more cautious now about certain things.
That's good, but Carrie, I think it's the problem is that, like, then when you combine Carrie and Kaz just drives it down to the sun. It's like,
yeah.
It's gone opposite than it used to be. It used to be that Carrie drove things and Kaz reacted. Now it's a lot of Kaz drives than Carrie reacts.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything on Friday.
I did non-tabletop RPG stuff on Friday. I had a board game night with some friends, and we played a lot of Terraforming Mars, which is my favorite board game.
Nice.
Yeah, and I won one game because I put a bunch of tiny animals on Mars. There's a fun little combination in Terraforming Mars where because you get like money to spend on projects. One of the projects is you can increase your electricity production by 1 for the turn, and that's a permanent increase. And then I got a card that gave me an ability where I can lower my electricity production by 1 to gain a victory point. So every turn I would just do that cycle, and no one noticed I was doing it.
I get that kind of thing. You're just sneakily, like, just slowly building up.
Exploit.
Yeah, my Friday game got canceled again. Well, this time it made a lot more sense because Blaze is in Florida right now, visiting some old friends he's got that live down there. So they're people that I have only briefly met before, and that was before they moved down to Florida. They live in different areas of Florida, but it's an excuse to go visit both of them, basically.
Yeah.
And then another person had a family member coming in from Arizona, so I was visiting with them. They just kind of that's still a pretty big travel. When family comes in, you don't want to interrupt that. So understandable on both accounts. So it would have just been me and our Dungeon Master, and I'm like, yeah, we're probably not playing. Gonna be honest on that one.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, so it was a relatively quiet week this week, I think. At least for me. Just 2 games.
Yeah, I think I only had the 2, and then my little tabletop stuff, which I'm trying to get back into doing tabletop stuff with friends. It's hard. Organizing adults is difficult.
It is one of the things that I've been thinking about too. As a side note, since this is like kind of leading into it, is 2 of the things is like, one, I have thought about reorganizing something like Sundays at Tabletop again. Yep. Been a while since I've done that. Maybe bringing it back or something. That might be fun. Have that occasionally a week or something. And also, it's like one of those things is like, I heard some people talking about it, like on a stream, like a big Twitch stream, and they were saying like, single player stuff is not as good anymore.
No, it doesn't. So there on Twitch, there's a side of Twitch that people overlook because streaming is, you should entertain yourself when you're a streamer. Single player stuff is hard to get views for.
Yeah, not as much anymore.
It's not as like good for views as co-op stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely going out. It's kind of like maybe not like.
It won't go like completely because big games always come out and then everyone watches.
Yeah.
Play.
But again, that makes it's more you have to do it's the newest thing then for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, like I'll use an example. When Elden Ring came out, fucking everyone was playing Elden Ring. And if you follow multiple people playing Elden Ring, you've got to pick a stream to watch.
People are getting tired of Elden Ring, it seems like.
I think it's kind of fallen off because it's been like a month.
And it's just been a lot of it. Like, honestly, it's been a lot.
I got tired of Elden Ring after a week. Honestly.
I can, like, tolerate at this point in time if it's, like, interesting stuff going on.
Because it's, like, I don't find, like, Souls games particularly interesting to watch.
The last
First.
Souls thing that I really liked was I saw someone do the, like, the Dark Souls 1 randomizer.
Well, those are fun.
Yeah, because it's sort of like, also, like, it's like, because, like, you can have normal bosses, or bosses become normal enemies, so you just, like, enter an area, and that's like, Gwyn's there or something, and you're like,
yeah.
What the fuck is the final boss?
Yeah.
Just hacking out.
Or, like, a Resident Evil randomizer, and you have to get through this hallway, and then the fucking giant snake is there.
Yeah. Oh, the Resident Evil one thing. What was it? I saw someone play the Resident Evil randomizer, and the giant snake ended up glitched out, because it was in a, like, the hallway which led to the outside,
Right.
Where where there would normally be a dog. Instead it was a giant snake. It doesn't fit on that map.
Oh boy.
So it was, like, outside the wall, kind of.
I watched a Resident Evil streamer. He did a Resident Evil 2 randomizer. And like, the basketball court after the gun store that's full of zombies?
Yeah.
Those were all Mr. X.
I have to see the new Resident Evil 2 randomizer. That's a good one.
It's really good.
That's the thing. It's like I like randomizers. I don't know if I would ever play one, but I like the idea of them a lot.
Randomizers are so good. They're so fun to watch.
And that's the thing. Is like, you have to know about things a little bit, though. That's the problem. Is I'm
Mm-hmm.
not always confident in my knowledge. Like,
I think the only two I could do would be Resident Evil 2 and Ocarina of Time. And after that, I don't know anything else.
I could probably do the one that I know about that I could probably do. I know there's a Final Fantasy 1 randomizer. I know enough about where treasures and stuff are in that game that I think I could do that. I honestly would like if they pixel remastered that, like updated
that'd
that
be
for
nice.
pixel remaster, because that would give us a lot of quality of life shit
That would be really nice, yeah.
that you really need in that game that the pixel remasters add in. I have to say that's the big thing about the pixel remaster, so much quality bridge.
Yeah.
Does. But yeah, no, I want to do some Sundays at the tabletop or something similar to that at some point in time. I think that would be fun to get some, like, tabletop sim in, some off-stream, maybe some on-stream again, like maybe organize some on-stream games with some friends, which I haven't really tried to do in a long time. It's just, I gotta do it, and I think it's one of those things is, like, it's hard to organize people. It's hard to, sometimes it's hard to ask, too.
When you have, adults are hard to get to do anything, because we're tired all the time, and we're busy.
Yeah.
And asking can feel like, oh, I don't want to bother this person,
But you gotta do it sometimes. Maybe I'll do some of that. Just gotta do. That's the same way of inviting people to the game again or bothering about them. It's just you just gotta do it, and it's sometimes hard. But anyway, I think that's it for our day today. And because I don't think we do anybody does anything on a Saturday.
Nope.
So, anything to shout out, Momo? I think.
Not really. I'm still in the process of deciding certain things about streaming.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take off tomorrow. 99% sure of that, just because I think it's not a cold. I just think my allergies have been a little worse than normal. If people know, I have mild allergies all year long. This is just the time of year where it's a little worse, honestly, because yes, it's the season for it. So I think I've just been a little worse off. Yeah, so like I don't get it very bad, but it's enough to like work on me a little bit and make me a little bit more sniffly, tired, and stuff like that. So I might just take a day off. Also, because I haven't decided, because I haven't gotten to that point in time, what games. I'm still gonna do Bloodstain, but I'm doing a bunch of off-stream stuff for that because I've just been farming, killing monsters for junk. Because it feels it fills a deep urge in my soul to collect stuff.
Yeah, it's an Igavania game. There's a lot of farming involved in those.
I don't mind that, honestly.
I love that aspect of those games.
It fills my... It's sort of like, oh, I'll just get all these items if I can, and then just get 9 of each soul of each monster, and just keep going into the room, killing it, and then when I get to that 9, it's like, ooh, it feels good, I finished that up. Oh, did I get enough items to, like, do all the construction and stuff?
I know in some of the games that have the soul mechanic, more of them increase how good they are. I don't know if Bloodstain does that.
It actually does, I found out.
Oh, neat.
There are two ranks you can level up. You can level them up through alchemy, which does have an effect. But I also noticed that giving more of them had an effect, because on the passive ones that give you stat bonus, I noticed there was an effect on the passive numbers.
Nice.
And it was sort of like, it was the difference between when I had 3, it was like I had a 5%. It was like, because I leveled up all 3 of the defensive ones that occasionally you don't take damage from certain types of attacks to 9, just because that was more often that it happened. And then the amount that, like, the percentage, or no, it was like the percentage chance was at like 5%, or like 5, and went up to, I don't know how it works. I think it was that there was also a damage reduction that was related to it or something, that went from like 5 to 15 as I got a maxed out amount or something. But again, I don't know how a lot of these numbers work. I just see the numbers be changing.
There are, because I've delved into this for at least Aria of Sorrow, which is very much kind of Bloodstained. The number calculation is weird.
Yeah. I have this luck score that's really high because I kept whoring it out. I don't know if that means I get more chance of drops of things like shards and stuff.
So,
I think it does.
At least in Aria, luck barely did anything. it barely increased your chances. So it might be the same way in Bloodstained. I don't know.
I have no idea. I'm also like level 70, honestly, which is really high.
Yeah, I mean that happens.
Also, like,
I think on my first playthrough, I finished at like level 99.
I'm also going to say, like, when I played through, I had some difficulty in like the fiery area because it was doing a lot of damage to me. I am now virtually invincible because in the interim, I got like a few more things that upped my regenerate magic. I maxed out my healing on both ends, and I maxed out regeneration on both ends.
Nice.
So now I both have like healing that I can just hit the button, heal up, and then my magic returns very quickly. So it's literally like I don't have to worry as much anymore.
Fair.
But yes. And in Final Fantasy VI, I want to do a lot of stuff off stream because I'm at right before we go to World of Ruin.
Ooh,
so I want to.
nice.
We're about to go to the floating continent, so I want to do things up. Like I do want to put people up to a certain level, like everybody on the team, at least because like I'm probably not going to use Gao in the final tower because I never do.
Ooh.
Look, I don't like because he's too random. He's too
Fair.
random. Him and Ngogo are the two I don't use.
What's your current lineup for that? Because I missed a couple streams.
I use Terra, Edgar, Sabin, and I've been using Locke because I like stealing stuff.
Pretty good.
Because then I don't have to spend money. He keeps stealing items for me, and I'm like, oh, a high potion.
I like having him. I like having him along just to steal shit.
Yeah, normally I would have I had Cyan just for pure damage dealing, but the idea of like I'm like it's probably better to steal shit because get some stuff then, you know. It's actually been helpful. But yeah, my goals off stream are to get Strago a bunch of blue magic, Gao a bunch of rages, maybe use the Velt to get some more magic points to get everybody to a decent number of magic. Because then I don't level up everybody a couple more levels. They're like my main group's around 25, maybe get them closer to 30 and get the B and C teams up around 32, just so I could theoretically use them for crap, you know.
Yeah.
But that's going to take a while off stream. So that's why I'm also thinking of next week I might do a single player of Stellaris with the Overlord and just see if it's any better. Just as a thing to take up some time and test it out. See the new UI and stuff. Usually for major updates, I usually have a single-player playthrough of something interesting. I might do that again. I don't know, I might get done stuff in Bloodstained and just be like, I'll play Bloodstained instead.
Yeah, you know?
You know, give me a couple more days of Bloodstained and then wait for Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we'll play by ear. My schedule's going to play by ear. But Buccaneers, Wednesday, 9 p.m. to 1. Children of Wrath, Thursday, 9 p.m. to 12. This show next week at around 2 to 2:30. Usually we start, depending on when we can get people. I can get people together, and then that's about it for the schedule. And just I'll do some more morning streams as I've been doing. I don't know if I can get multiplayer people for the morning streams though. It's one of those things. It's like it's
multiplayer. It would be much easier to do it in like or evening.
That's the thing is like afternoon. I could probably get some afternoon times. You know.
Evening would probably end up being like the best time to get for multiplayer stuff.
Well, that would be like Monday or Friday if I'm not doing my other thing. We're late. Yeah. We're very late for Friday. Oh, not too late. It's like we usually end around like 10, so it's not too late. But then again, like there's a bunch of people that it's too late for. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out. It's a lot of I'll figure it out. So I'll put up a schedule for next week, probably Monday morning. Honestly, when I figure more of it out. But until then, thank you for joining me, Momo.
Yeah, no problem.
Hope you enjoyed all the items we talked about, the things that are coming out, and our discussion topic. If it helps you with your running of your game, great.
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm going to say goodbye for now, everybody.
Bye.